Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Today, we're going to talk about which crypto companies and funds had actual exposure to SVB or Silicon Valley Bank and which ones could be running into trouble. But first, we're actually going to talk about what caused SVB collapse. And yes, it's that old enemy, leverage. I don't think banks should be able to do high leverage because it basically creates a vortex for customer funds. So they need a little bit more security than just playing leverage. So the thing is, the cause of SVB's collapse ultimately is Jerome Powell. Yeah, that old devil. He caused over $200 billion bank to collapse. And it's because the SVB bank actually bet a failed leverage on U.S. Treasury bonds. Of course, we know that rising interest rates, the Fed's favorite tool, basically drove down the price of U.S. Treasury bonds, so the bank lost over $1 billion. Of course, that panic ensued in $42 billion worth of withdrawals, which the bank could not actually do. So the bank went kaput, and it was annihilated. But that is the short end of the story. Basically, Jerome Powell raises interest rates. Interest rates cause Treasury bonds to go down because, obviously. And then after that, SVB basically collapsed because it had a huge leverage bid on Treasury bonds, which you should never ever do. High leverage for banks, not a good idea because that puts a lot of customer funds in jeopardy. That should be illegal. Anyways, who was affected? Well, there's several crypto VC funds that are affected, and those indirectly may actually affect certain projects. So the biggest one is Andreessen Horowitz, or A16Z. They're pretty big in crypto, and they've invested in Alchemy Pay, Yuga Labs, famous for Bored Ape NFTs, of course, and Sky Mavis. So Sky Mavis and Bored Ape stuff might want to stay just a little bit further from. And Yuga Labs also had exposure itself to SVB. Not something you really want to be part of. I'll pin my notes basically at the first comment in the comment section. And then at $1.2 billion exposure, we have Paradigm Capital, and they invested in Compound, Cosmos, and Uniswap. Now, I don't know if Compound, Cosmos, and Uniswap will all be affected, but they have either are investing in those now or have invested those in the past. And then we have $560 million of Pantera Capital, 1inch, ANKR, and Zcash. And of course, we have $3.3 billion in Circle, and that is USDC. Now, USDC is recovering. They probably have raised some funds, and they probably can get a decent amount back from the 3.3 billion that was supposedly lost. I think they'll probably get 80-90% of it back, but that's still hundreds of millions of dollars in losses. It's repegged at around 95 cents, and it was down to 90 yesterday. And of course, we have 227 million BlockFi. BlockFi's loans, I think, were uninsured, so they might be just kind of screwed. Yeah, I wouldn't touch BlockFi right now. It was already kind of toxic before this, and now it's just like completely toxic at this point. You also have $1.6 million in Avalanche, but that's actually kind of small for Avalanche, so I wouldn't be too afraid of it, but they did lose $1.6 million. Proof NFT project also suffered some loss. Although they said it was small, they did not give us the exact number. Also, Nova Labs suffered some loss as well, but we don't really know how much because they didn't really tell us. But I think both Proof and Nova Labs, more or less, they said it was very small and it wouldn't affect their operations, but companies often say that. Notably, on the no exposure category was Tether. Tether has zero exposure to SVB, so Tether will not actually be bothered. But there we go. That is the list of who was actually affected and who could possibly be affected by SVB in the crypto world. Once again, $2.85 billion to Andreessen Horowitz, which supports Alchemy Pay, Yuga Labs, Sky Mavis. $1.72 billion to Paradigm, Compound, Cosmos, Uniswap. $560 million to Pantera Capital, 1inch, ANKR, Zcash, $227 million to BlockFi, $3.3 billion to Circle, $1.6 million to Avalanche, and undisclosed amount to Proof NFT and Nova Labs. So if you have any more, let me know. But you might want to stay away from some of these projects or all of these projects until this gets resolved. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.